with where they say, well, these attackers always do seem to be Muslim, and they're coming in here. And Comey, who's in charge of vetting them, says he can't vet them. Trump calls for a temporary ban. It seems to make sense to people. Does it make sense to you?
No, not at all. I mean, let's remember what he's called for and to sort of break it up. He has said all Muslims should be barred from coming into the United States. All Muslims. Nobel Prize winners, entertainers, sports stars, you name it. The new mayor from London. All Muslims should be barred. Now, when confronted with the new mayor from London, who, as you know, is the first Muslim elected to be mayor of London by the people of London, he says, well, I'll make an exception for him. I mean, the whole approach is just incredibly provocative and wrong-headed. And look what he's done just in the last week. He has attacked our closest ally, Great Britain. He has praised the reckless dictator in North Korea. He has said we should pull out of NATO, our strongest military alliance. He has advocated for more countries having nuclear weapons. That kind of unpredictable, dangerous rhetoric and the policies that he throws out there for whatever hope he has to get people to respond to him make us less likely that we're going to be as effective as we need to be going forward in assuaging the concerns of people that we want to be working with us to deal with this threat. And, you know, we have been effective in beginning to kill off the leadership of ISIS, to go after their funding sources, to make it very clear that we're going to keep training the Iraqi army. They've taken back Ramadi. We're going to be supporting them to take back every other part of the territory, most importantly Mosul, that ISIS has seized. So we are making progress. Our biggest concern, and I think if this turns out to be an act of terror, with a flight coming from Paris, our biggest concern is what's going on in Europe. And that is something that we do have to address and deal with all of our partners. And that's going to require even closer cooperation.
Let me ask you, do you think that Donald Trump is qualified to be president?
No, I do not. And I think in this past week, whether it's attacking Great Britain, praising the leader of North Korea, a despotic dictator who has nuclear weapons, whether it is saying pull out of NATO, let other countries have nuclear weapons, the kinds of positions he is stating and the consequences of those positions and even the consequences of his statements are not just offensive to people, they are potentially dangerous.
How so?
Well, as I mentioned...
Politicians talk, Madam Secretary. They say things, but then once they get in office, people believe nothing will be that different.
Well, when you run for President of the United States, the entire world is listening and watching. So when you say, we're going to bar all Muslims, you are sending a message to the Muslim world. And you're also sending a message to the terrorists, because we now do have evidence. We have seen how Donald Trump is being used to essentially be a recruiter for more people to join the cause of terrorism. So I think if you go through many of his irresponsible, reckless, dangerous comments, it's not just somebody saying something off the cuff. We all misstate things. We all, may not be as careful in phrasing what we say. This is a pattern. It's a pattern that has gone on now for months. And it's a pattern that adds up, in my opinion, having watched presidents, having seen the incredibly difficult work that they do and the decisions that they have to make, the thinking that goes in, sitting in the Situation Room, do we go after bin Laden or not? I was part of that. Was it a clear, easy choice? Of course not. Did it have to be carefully parsed and analyzed? And then we all gave our opinions, but it was up to the president to decide. I know how hard this job is, and I know that we need steadiness as well as strength and smarts in it. And I have concluded he is not qualified to be president of the United States.
You don't think Donald Trump could make that call in that room about whether or not to go after bin Laden?
Based on what we know now, he could make it perhaps on evidence that wasn't clear. He could say a lot of things that might have given notice. I mean, based on the way he has behaved and how he has spoken and the policies he has literally thrown out there, I think it adds up to a very troubling picture.
So you get into the general election if you're the nominee for your party?
I will be the nominee for my party, Chris. That is already done, in effect. There is no way that I won't be.
There is a senator from Vermont who has a different take on that.
Well,
he says he's going to fight to the end.
Yeah, right.
And there seems to be a change here as Donald Trump is trying to galvanize his party.